I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
If you're looking for the best basketball talk in the universe, you just found it. This is Deep Hoops, where fans are the host. Tim Brayboy, Troy Ramel Royal, and me, your point guard, Jehudi. We're talking basketball, all basketball, and nothing but basketball. So sit back and enjoy the best basketball talk in the podcast universe. This is Deep Hoops.
Another week in the NBA, that means another week of Deep Hoops. I'm the Minister.
And I'm Rob.
And welcome to Deep Hoops, where we're not experts, but we're passionate fans talking about the game we love. What's up, Rob?
How you doing?
I'm outstanding, bro.
Right.
Another weekend talking about the NBA. Of course, we start every week with a week in review. What we think was relevant in the week previous. What are your thoughts about last week in the NBA?
Well, before I give my thoughts on that, just want to ask you, what's going on with the cowboy gear on this?
Well, I mean, we did just beat the Giants, okay? And I know Wentz just went down. He may not be coming back. So we may not get the NFC East, but yo, I'm happy right now. You know, I don't want to use injury to be happy. But how about them Cowboys, huh? What up? Tony Riley, Charles Bedford, Ronald Kemp, Eric Thomas, Stephen Thomas. How about them Cowboys? Huh?
Eagles is still on top.
Yeah, but you know, they're about to fall down, man. They falling out the sky. I'm telling y'all that right now.
Nick Foles, he's going to do his thing.
Y'all, Nick Foles, he's going to fold. Nick Foles is going to fold. So, what are your thoughts on the week on the NBA?
Well, a couple of things stood out for me this week, but the most important thing that stood out to me was Okafor finally got traded.
Yes.
Philly finally traded Jahlil Okafor, and I think they did a poor job in handling Okafor to begin with.
That was horrendous.
And the package that they received,
I don't even know who they got. I got to be honest with you.
it's just an indication of how poorly they handled.
Yo, Rob, you're the inside man. What did they get? I don't know what they got.
They got Trevor Booker, an expiring contract of $9 million. Not only did they trade Okafor to the Nets, they also packaged Nick Stauskas, highly touted shooting guard out of Michigan, and they also gave Brooklyn a second-round draft pick. So, if to all you Brooklyn fans out there,
Y'all came up.
this is a great trade. You look at what Brooklyn has done, unloading Brook Lopez to the Lakers, picking up D'Angelo Russell, now trading an expiring contract who wasn't part of their future, and picking up Jahlil Okafor. When you didn't have draft picks, now you have high draft picks that, if utilized right, maybe it could be part of the future for the Brooklyn Nets.
And picking up Jahlil Okafor. He's a high draft pick, so it's like they got a first rounder in him.
Right, and in fact, when you think about it, Okafor and Russell went in the same draft.
Right.
They were 2 and 3.
Right. So they picked up 2 and 3. And you know what? I'm telling you, Jahlil, stop fighting in them streets. Dedicate yourself to basketball. And even though I'm rooting for Philly, I don't like how they handled you. Prove Philly wrong. Step up and play in the NBA the way that we believe you can play. I know that they're saying that he's a throwback to the old school NBA, but I tell you this, at the end of the day, there's some players that are still playing old school style and having success. And I think Jahlil Okafor can have that success.
Slowly but surely, the center's coming back.
They're coming back.
They're coming back, and whether if it's with a touch from the outside or not, centers are becoming part of the game, once again, part of the plan. And make no mistakes about it, the guy can score. I mean, in his limited action, his limited roles in Philly, and based off of how they played him, he averages about 16 points for his career.
And yeah, I mean, and the bottom line, we're going to move on from this, but it's a great intro into the week in review. Knowing that Embiid, you don't have the same limitation on minutes with Embiid, but he's not paying many back-to-backs. They could have played Jahlil Okafor.
Yes.
They could have played him.
Yes.
And the fact that they just refused to play him, I don't think that was Brown. I think that was the front office. And it's unfair what they did to him, but at least they let him go. He's able to go out there and show himself and prove himself in Brooklyn.
And there's no one standing in his way. So it's not like he's going there as a backup. They don't have a center that can say, well, you're going to back him.
Right, exactly. So he's going to be able to play.
Right.
And go ahead.
And I was going to say, for Brooklyn, they have to play him because if he's going to be part of the future, they need to showcase him and find out what he has.
What he can do.
Because he's a free agent at the end of the year.
And so I'll say this. Being a dude from Queens, we're both dudes from Queens, and it's hard for me to say this. Big up Brooklyn. Queens dude giving you a big up. I don't do that often.
But good move for Brooklyn.
Good move for Brooklyn. What else has come to mind for you this week in the NBA?
Well, a couple of things. I was one that thought that Chris Paul and James Harden couldn't
Coexist, right.
And they're proving me wrong.
Proving everybody wrong that doubted it.
They've won 9 games in a row since his return. In the last 10, they're 9-1. They're at the top of the West. They proved me wrong.
You know, here's the funny thing. I'm not going to say that they proved me wrong. And the reason they didn't prove me wrong is because I didn't so much question it, because I'm not a D'Antoni fan. Okay, I've not been a D'Antoni fan. The only time I had any semblance of respect for D'Antoni was when he was in Phoenix. Ever since leaving Phoenix, he hasn't done anything to me to prove that he should continue to get jobs, going back to our talk last week about black coaches. This is a guy that just keeps getting jobs. But in this situation, we know that he's an offensive genius. Mm-hmm. That we cannot deny.
No.
And if anyone was going to have Chris Paul and James Harden playing well together, it was going to be D'Antoni, and he's doing that.
Yeah, I was definitely on the side that James Harden and Chris Paul was not going to work. I thought that they were going to be a 5th or 6th seed in the West, and it looks like they're going to be a higher seed. Definitely going to have home court advantage in the first round of playoffs. I tell you what, Houston management, Houston owner, whoever, should send a nice little Christmas gift to the Garden because they refused to trade Melo to them.
Right, exactly.
And
that probably was the best non-move. And they say sometimes the best move is the move that you don't make.
You don't make. And this is no knock on
Melo. No. I'm a Melo fan.
It's just when you look at Melo in OKC and what's going on there, how would it have transpired if he had been traded to Houston?
But once again, with D'Antoni, I think he could have made it work.
Remember, they bumped heads.
They bumped heads, but I think because of Chris Paul being there and the friendship between Chris Paul and Melo, and D'Antoni would have had to respect him. See, D'Antoni is the type of dude, when you get in his doghouse, you stay in his doghouse. And Jalen Rose can tell you about that. So I think that if what's his name? Carmelo would have been was in his doghouse, he wouldn't have stayed in there. Because of Chris Paul, because of management, that wouldn't have happened. But, you know, the best moves are the moves that sometimes are the moves that are not made. And speaking of that, Carmelo's not having, when we look at a week in review, he did not have a good week. He has not had, a great season. He's had a good, decent season. But in this past week, he even said he couldn't find a shot.
You know, and it's funny you say that, and I'm not sure which way to go with this, but in OKC's last 10 games, they're 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
In their last 5 games, they're 4-1. With the only loss coming to Brooklyn in Mexico, but yet Carmelo is not having a Carmelo week. Is OKC better when Carmelo is contributing less or doing less? Or do they need to be better with him giving more?
Greg Berry, what's up, Greg? I said to Greg Berry the other night, I saw Greg, Ravenswood. We love you, Greg. I told Greg the other night, and I almost bit my tongue saying it, maybe it's time for Carmelo to come off the bench. Now, if the Banana Crew is any indication, one of his best friends in the NBA is Dwayne Wade. And Dwayne Wade, to your credit, has come off the bench and has improved what Cleveland is doing. Maybe Carmelo Anthony, it's not who starts the game, it's who ends the game. And maybe getting that momentum, him coming off the bench, can put a spark in that team and get them off to a great start and a great second half, so that coming off the bench, he can do something to help that second unit. Because they start the games off well, and then they have a dip. Maybe him coming off the bench could have ball movement on the starting unit, and then he can go in his ISO, and then late in the game, they can use him for spot-up shooting.
Having Carmelo come off the bench could be helpful for OKC because, as I told you, Enes Kanter was averaging 15 points a game there, and their top two players off the bench in minutes is averaging 16 points combined. So they're missing that scoring that comes off the bench. Would Carmelo adjust to it? I doubt it. But would it be suitable? I think it would be helpful. And I'll tell you why. I think in the case with Carmelo, he needs a point guard. And I think Raymond Felton would be ideal for him.
Didn't they play together?
They played together in a couple of in New York. So I think it would be helpful for him to come off, helpful for the team.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
And for him.
He'll still get 30 minutes.
He's still going to get his minutes. And here's the thing. I am probably the biggest Carmelo fan out there. Let me start off by saying this. So Carmelo, please hear me. If you watch this or if somebody tells Carmelo about it, I'm one of the biggest Carmelo fans that you can find. If he wouldn't accept that, how much does he want to win? Is starting more important than a title? And at some point, everybody has to check themselves and say, you know what? I got to do what's best for the team and not just for me. And that's not just an something that Carmelo has to ask himself. I think every human being has to ask themselves, as John Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. He needs to ask himself, what can I do to make this team better? And if coming off the bench makes the team better and puts us in a better position to win a title and to go up against Golden State, he's got to ask himself that question and be real with the answer.
Good luck on that. I just don't see Carmelo coming off the bench. Whether or not it'd be conducive for the team, but I just don't see him coming off the bench. I think OKC needs to make a trade for a player to come off the bench.
To segue into our next topic, well, not next topic, staying on topic, but into another something that we can review. Does Billy Donovan have the kahunas to put him on the bench?
No.
That's the question.
No.
And I don't know that. I think the team is running the coach and not the coach running the team.
That's what happens sometimes when you bring in a college coach and you have stars in place already. I go back to Boston and bringing in Brad Stevens, they had gutted their roster. They even traded Rondo so that Brad Stevens can have control of the team. It was like, okay, Brad Stevens is here first. He's in charge. Everybody else is just going to, work around Brad Stevens, follow through Brad Stevens. So now you bring Donovan, and he's going from youngsters, students, to pros, proven pros. He may not just have that.
But that's a good point. But that's even a better point for the front office. Is the front office going to back Billy Donovan? See, because Danny Ainge backed Brad Stevens.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, absolutely. So you can say whatever you want about Danny Ainge, but Danny Ainge said, "Listen, he ain't going nowhere.
Right, this is our guy.
Y'all better listen to what he's saying," and everyone is falling in. But if the coach doesn't have the backing, ask Fizdale,
Right.
As soon as you don't have the backing of the upper management, Gasol can call you into question and you get fired. The front office at OKC, I think they do a great job, but they have to do a better job by showing Billy Donovan, we got your back, and we're not going to let the players run this team. We're going to let you run the team.
I agree.
So, but I mean, can Billy Donovan do that? Because we're seeing where Cantor is having a great season after leaving OKC. And how about Oladipo?
He could be most improved player this year.
He is playing some great ball.
Playing very well. I think he learned a lot in OKC. I think he learned how to attack the basket playing along Westbrook. I think he learned some things. And it's showing. Indiana is, they just had a good win against Cleveland the other night to stop the streak. And they're a playoff team as we speak. Oladipo.
And one last thing that happened this week, and we didn't really talk about any games, the games that we previewed last week, and we don't have to talk about it because the line of the line of the week, the line of the season, and maybe the line of the last 20 years is Boogie Cousins being called out by Zach Randolph.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure. I thought he said, in my hood, boogies get bullied. But they're saying that he said, in my hood, bullies get bullied. Either way, it's a classic line.
It's right up there with Rasheed Wallace's line, ball don't lie.
Ball don't lie. And no, I call game. What's his name from Boston? That's on ESPN now.
Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce. He said, they said, did you call back? He said, I call game. Some classic lines.
Oh,
but the bottom line, he said, yo, man, and he looked at him and said it. I mean, it was on the foul line. He said, in my hood, bullies get bullied.
And it was that serious.
Yes. Yo, that bottom line is, yo, Boogie, you better watch your back when you come up against Zach. You can bully Durant. And I think that's what, in that week, he bullied Durant. Wanted to go after him in the locker room.
Yeah. Did you see that?
Yes, I saw that. But he wasn't going after.
No.
He kind of chuckled when Zach said that because he knew he wasn't going to try to go up against Zach.
It ended right there.
It ended right there.
A little chirp, but
exactly.
for the most part,
that was it. That was it. But you know, it brings us to our next topic. We used to have a lot of that.
Rivalries.
The rivalries in the NBA. What happened to rivalries? And you know, I don't think. I mean, Magic and Isaiah would kiss before the game, but go after each other.
Yeah.
Because they competed.
Yeah.
And is it because, and I hate to be the person that goes up against and critical of AAU, but is it that these cats played together so many years coming up through the ranks that there is no rivalry? I mean, the rivalries are gone. Now, some could say, I was talking to my son about this, they're coming back. And OKC and Golden State is starting to become somewhat of a rivalry. Golden State and Cleveland, some could say, is some sort of a rivalry. But Embiid talking crap to the dude in Drummond in Detroit, that could be some sort of a rivalry. But we need that contentiousness. We need people talking stuff and backing it up to bring back the rivalries. The NBA's ratings are up.
Right.
But rivalries are down.
Yeah, and I think there's several reasons. You talk about AAU. I take it all the way back to Dream Team because friends or great players never played together.
Right.
And when they started playing together, friendships started happening and they became closer and closer and closer. I mean, you have guys that play together in the Olympics and then you asking them to hate each other in a series. It's not going to happen. And then the other thing, too, that is becoming something to think about or consider is teams are no longer assembled for a certain amount of years with the same roster. So those 5-6 year runs that you have with pretty much the same top 10 guys on your team, that don't exist anymore so that you can get a rivalry going. Now, the only reason why you have an OKC rivalry because of the breakup of Kevin Durant
Buddy
walking
ball.
away. Right. But outside of that, where's the rivalry?
But, you know, I mean, to your point, and there's something I didn't think about it until you just said that. In the past, GMs assembled the roster. Mm-hmm. What we have today is players assembling the roster.
Let me tell you, we could have had a rivalry with Miami and San Antonio a couple of years ago. But that team stayed together 4 years in Miami. San Antonio is still riding the course, but that team stayed together 4 years. All right? Golden State and Cleveland may be a rivalry, but look at all the changing parts that's taking place.
And LeBron is not even promised to be there next season.
Next year. So it's going to be a little tough to have rivalries because it takes series to have rivalries.
Well, at least it's not a real rivalry the way that Detroit and Boston or Philly and Boston or LA and Boston, those were real rivalries. And I hate to sound like the man, you know, get off my lawn guy, but the bottom line is, in the past, you had real rivalries.
Indiana, New York.
Chicago, New York. Detroit, exactly. I mean, those were hatred. They didn't like each other.
Cowboys and Indians.
Exactly. But I hope with Boogie being called out by Zach, bullies get bullied or boogies get bullied, maybe that'll be a rivalry. They both are not that good a team, but maybe Boogie being called out will start a rivalry. I don't know. But Rob, I want to ask you guys. I need y'all to come back and call us or talk back to us. Is there a rivalry, or do you miss the rivalries in the NBA? I, for one, miss the rivalries.
Yes.
And I don't see any real rivalry except the only real rivalry that I see right now is OKC and Golden State. I mean, there's some hatred going on, and they can talk about, well, we all good. Now, y'all ain't all good. Don't lie to me. You can lie to me, but I know a lie.
And before we close on this topic, one other thing that I think has helped eliminate rivalries and that can produce rivalries, allow the hard fouls.
Yes.
When you make the game soft, and you know, there was a time where you had some players say, man, I don't even want to go to Detroit.
Right, exactly. And if I go to Detroit, I'm going to be shooting jump shots.
New York, Oakley, Mason.
But, and you know what? Hard fouls and making everything perimeter dominant with shooting threes. And so even if you come in and they want to foul you hard, there's no one coming in the paint.
No.
So, I mean, we got to change up the rules. Adam Silva, I love you, man. Adam, you're not David Stern, and I thank God for that. But come on, get us back to rivalries. Let the hard fouls happen and make some rules so that they're not just shooting three-pointers. I love the passing of the ball, but I hate I'm watching cats come down on a fast break and shoot threes. I mean, nobody even knows how to fill the lanes anymore.
It's not a requirement.
It's not, I mean, come on. St. Rita's, we had to fill the lanes.
Yeah, we was going to the basket like we was going to catch a lob.
Exactly.
At 8 years old.
At 8. We wasn't lobbing. We was slobbing. But at the end of the day, we would fill the lanes. But anyway, Rob, you're the trivia man. Well, so you gave us a trivia question last week, and Keith and I were trying to figure it out. We didn't want to Google it to get the answer. I don't know if anyone has the answer or if they Googled it, but Google is cheating. Did you have the answer? Rob's going to give it to you right now, and then Rob's going to give you a new trivia question.
Well, last week I asked, I mentioned Golden State recorded 46 assists in the game. It was one shy of their team record of 47. And I asked what team had the most assists in the game, and the answer was 53 by Milwaukee. They said that in December of 1978 against Detroit. They had 53 assists in the game.
Who was on that Milwaukee team?
In 1978, I'm not sure who was on the team.
We got to look that up. We got to answer that one.
Maybe Marcus Johnson.
Marcus Johnson was Lanier on that team?
Bob Lanier, probably Junior Bridgman.
Moncrief?
Sidney Moncrief was probably on that team, yes. But this was 78 against Detroit.
So Detroit had definitely Isaiah. Right? Was Isaiah?
No, I don't think so. You may not even Lambert. Detroit was probably bad at that time.
Well, they were really bad. They probably what was the I don't know. We need to look that up because we need to let them know who the rosters were on those two teams.
And I couldn't get that information for whatever reason.
Oh, we'll find that.
I gotta get that.
We'll find that. We have producers that will find that information. Our crack producing staff or our producing staff on crack, they'll find the information.
So this week's question, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm asking you a question. Devin Booker was the last NBA player to score 70 points in a game. My question is to you guys out there, including Devin Booker.
Or girls, ladies.
Yes. Including Devin Booker. How many NBA players have scored 70 or more points in the game? And I'll have the answer for you next week.
How many, and I'm going to help them out a little bit.
How many players
70 or more.
Scored 70
So we got Will Chamberlain already.
Come on.
Wait, hold on.
Everybody knows he did 100.
All right. And
we're
we got
going to
Kobe.
stop right there.
All right.
We're going to stop right there. I know you're a fan. I know you're a fan. But we're going to end it right there.
Figure it out. Don't Google it. Figure it out, and we'll be right back.
And if the roller coaster ride continues in OKC, again, being at this, I still look at this as a pivotal week. If they should lose to Indiana, lose to New York, I still worry that going into January, this GM or management team might have to consider, do we move Paul George at this point? Because they're playing, the only thing that's been consistent about this team is they're inconsistent. And they've been inconsistent all year long, and this now has to fall into the lap or onto the lap of Billy Donovan. And as I mentioned last week, I believe he's on the hot seat. And a Mark Jackson, a Monty Williams, who was a assistant coach there, could be the answer for this team. So this week here, OKC, get it together. This is a pivotal week for you. Players can be traded at the 15th. Do what you need to do to improve this team. But this is a pivotal week for you. I'm actually rooting for OKC because I want a finals, a Western Conference Finals of OKC and Golden State. I think it would be great for the NBA. That could be as big as the finals. Get it together, OKC. Billy Donovan, get it together or make room for someone else who can get the job done.
Or as the Jackson 5 said, get it together or leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. So I love that. I love it. And I'm in agreement. I'm a big Billy Donovan fan. But I am even calling Billy Donovan into question right now. And I'm a huge Billy Donovan fan. He's got to do something. I don't think he's done anything. And a few years ago I said, well, he's working it out and he's putting it together, getting ready for the playoffs. Right now, he's not even in the playoffs. Right now, they're still
12 and 13.
Right.
9th seed.
So get it together or leave it alone. Good one, Rob. You know, my closing comments, I'm doing a repeat performance. A few weeks ago, I gave LAVAR Ball some big ups. And I commended him for the work that he's done in the community, the work that he's done with youth, the work that he's done with his children. And now I'm going in the opposite direction with loudmouth LAVAR. LAVAR, listen, I know that you want to be like Randy Savage or a Hulk Hogan. You want to be a reality TV star. I get that. You're trying to sell your brand, but I heard someone say it's no longer a sneaker company, it's a t-shirt company because you're not selling any high-priced sneakers. I'm not even going to call you out on that. I'm not going to call you out for every time a microphone is put in your face, you have something silly or something, some hyperbole to say. I'm not going to call you out on that. What I am going to call you out on is what you've done with your two sons. Now, I think LiAngelo is the one that was in UCLA. I don't care that you pulled LiAngelo off of UCLA and you're going to send him over to Europe. I don't care that people are saying that he's not an NBA talent, but you're saying that, you want all your boys playing for the Lakers. The challenge that I have is that you pulled LaMelo off of his high school team. You pulled him out of high school, and you're saying that you're going to send him off to someplace, even on the moon, playing on the moon. dude, what are you doing? Do you have what's in the best interest of your sons or the best interest of you and your celebrity? Man, I'm telling you right now, why are you playing, not with LiAngelo, but LaMelo, they say, has a lot of talent and is a gifted player and could possibly go to the pros. Why are you talking about sending him to the moon or Africa? And you started naming a whole bunch of places. Dude, you need to slow down and back up. Now, I have never tell someone how to raise their children, and I'm not telling you that. But since you're going to raise your children in the public eye, I think I need to say something. And you need to shut up, sit down, and let these boys play ball and grow. You are already affecting your Lonzo Ball and his ability to be successful. Because of your loud mouth, everybody's coming after him. And now you're doing it with these two dudes. Dude, slow down, shut up, and let these boys play ball. That's my advice to you, LAVAR Ball. Listen, what you've done in the community is a great thing. Stick to that and shut up right now. It's time to shut up and stop trying to be one of the, what's those girls' names?
Kardashian.
The Kardashians. Stop with the Kardashian stuff and let your boys play ball. I hope Facebook cancels your show. Doesn't give you a platform. I hope the media stops putting a microphone in your face, not giving you a platform, and then maybe you'll do what's right for your boys. That's my closing comments.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he's gotten on my nerve, especially talking about having them play on the moon. But anyway, we got another one in the can.
Yes.
We're gonna come back next week.
Yes.
You're gonna, that trivia question really stumped me. So I can't wait to hear the answer next week. Don't Google it. Really go out and try to think about what that answer is. That's a good one. And then you're going to come back with the Rod the GM next week.
Yes.
We're going to have Rod the GM next week. So we have a lot in store for you. Remember, like us, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us, share our video with people that you know that may not be into Deep Hoops. Because you know what? We're going to keep this coming, and we're going to make this a major part of the entertainment landscape. Ron?
All right, peace and blessings. See you next week.
Peace.